Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I have with me Chelsea Chatts, and let me tell you about Chelsea. Chelsea is a Southern author and Chattanooga content creator dedicated to sharing the beauty and complexities of living in America's southern states. In 2022, Chelsea took a leap of faith, relocating her family from San Francisco Bay Area to pursue her dreams of literary expression in Chattanooga, Tennessee. As a transplant who became deeply engaged in the local community, which includes leading initiatives such as Keep Chatt Clean, Chelsea not only embodies her commitment to fostering a vibrant, sustainable Chattanooga, she also reveals her Southern identity in all its incarnations in her debut poetry collection, Mud, Water Will Rise. With a unique perspective on Southern culture and her love for poetic storytelling, Chelsea is a compelling guest for our show today. And we'll explore community engagement and philanthropy. So please join me in welcoming my guest, Chelsea Chatts, a fellow Southerner. Hey,
Hi there.
Chelsea.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Yes. So my son-in-law is from Chickamauga, and I always say that wrong. I apologize to all the Chickamaugas people, but it's just about 35 or 40 minutes away from Chattanooga. So we get to experience Chattanooga from time to time.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't actually been out that way yet, but it's on my list of to-dos. We've been in Chattanooga for about 2.5 years now, and there's just so many beautiful areas to visit around the area, not even just
Absolutely.
Chattanooga, but we're 2 hours from, as you know, Atlanta, we're 2 hours from Birmingham, 2 hours from Nashville. And then, as you mentioned, there are so many other places that are within just half an hour of us, and they're just gorgeous. And it's hard to find the time to do everything.
Yeah. And there's so many, this Southern culture, the history, especially in that area, there's just a lot of things. If you are a history buff, it's a great place to just immerse yourself and have a few day trips, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. We have over here, we still haven't done this yet either, but we have the Civil War trail here where it kind of goes into the history of the Civil War. And a lot of people know that Chattanooga was a bit of a turning point for the Civil War and, in favoring the Union. So we definitely have a very vibrant history here. And that's something I'm still kind of digging into because there's just so much detail that goes into that.
Yeah. It's Roswell. We have some great antebellum homes and things, and some, as you said, from the Civil War, some pivotal moments that happened in Atlanta. So definitely a place that I take people to visit whenever they come to see us in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So we did our first easy question, which is, where do you live? Where do you call home? But the second question is, I just gave a little bit about your journey, but I'd love for you to just share a little bit about the paths that you took on this journey that's never a straight line. There are always pivotal moments, aha moments that said, Chelsea, this is no longer what is fulfilling me, and I need to do something different. So, talk to us about your journey and what's really brought about this passion that you had to move across the country.
Yeah, definitely. It was, as you mentioned, definitely not a straight line. There were many years of exploration. As you mentioned, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I grew up there my entire life. I moved across the state quite a bit. I lived in Los Angeles for 4 years, went back to living in San Francisco Bay Area where I met my husband. He had been born and raised there as well, had never moved out of the area. So part of it was just wanting to explore something different because we've been there, done that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The other part of it was really taking the time to slow down.
Mm.
As I'm sure a lot of people know, California is the tech scene. So when you go there, it's a very fast-paced environment,
Yes.
which is not a negative thing, but sometimes the stress can get to you, and then add that with the cost of living. It just didn't end up being a healthy environment for us, especially when the pandemic hit. So 2020 hit, and we found ourselves kind of stagnant. We just wanted to do something different. We wanted to go somewhere to give ourselves more time to grow,
Yeah.
somewhere that had more opportunity, and then again, had a little bit of a slower pace of life. So we actually started looking around, I want to say in 2019, prior to the pandemic. We had gone to Denver, and tried out Seattle, a few other places along the West Coast, but they didn't really click. We got married in 2021 and decided to do a cross-country honeymoon to check out different cities. Especially again, this was still kind of the tail end of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Vaccines were rolling out, but it was still kind of iffy as the travel and what type of travel you could do. So we decided to opt for a cross country road trip. And that's where we actually made it all the way to Nashville. Our car had broken down, which is a whole other story. But we didn't make it to Chattanooga. But what was interesting was that we met so many people who said, you know, you're from California, you know, if you love the mountains, you love, you know, oceans or any type of form of water, you need to go check out Chattanooga. And at the time, I had not heard of Chattanooga. And so I was like, okay, that's something we can do. We didn't make it that trip. So we actually went back to California. And at that point, we took another trip out to Chattanooga. We flew this time, flew in, and within a week, we fell in love with it. And we
Mm.
actually put an offer on a house and it got accepted. So within that week, we were flying back to California. We're like, oh my gosh, we are Tennesseans. Like, we're moving across the country. We're doing this. So we kind of just took a leap of faith and it's worked out for the best.
Awesome. You know, sometimes it is those, you just know that it's the right thing to do. And you
Mm-hmm.
do have to just embrace the change. You know, you can make the best of it, whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly. And at this point, again, we just wanted to try something new. We wanted to have a new lifestyle, a new experience. And we've always loved the South. We particularly love New Orleans. We wouldn't necessarily live in New Orleans just because, again, we were looking for a little bit of a slower pace. And it's
Yes.
definitely a fun city to go to. It's not necessarily a slower pace.
Mm.
But we just love the culture, the friendliness, the vibrance of the city, and just how much liveliness there is. And while it's a slower pace of life, albeit Chattanooga is growing a lot right now.
Hmm.
So there's still a lot to do and a very vibrant community, but it doesn't have necessarily, again, that super fast pace where you're feeling stressed out.
Yeah.
And it's very community oriented here, which is something we hadn't experienced before on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, you have your friends, you have your family, but as in neighbors coming together, that wasn't really a thing we had experienced before. So that was something else that really attracted us to moving to Chattanooga and
Hmm.
to the South in general, because so many people are just so welcoming here.
Right. Absolutely. So, what inspired you to start your company, though, once you moved? And so you became an entrepreneur.
Yep,
So talk
definitely.
about that.
So when we moved here, I actually was still working remote for my firm back in California. Again, during the pandemic, a lot of things shifted, including we got rid of our office and became fully remote. And I had been talking to my superiors for a while about potentially moving to Tennessee and actually setting up a Nashville office at some point because we were working with a couple of clients in Nashville. So I worked for a year, I want to say. Our first year in Chattanooga, I still was working for my California company. But then as time went on, I was still doing writing on the side, and kind of wanted to do my own entrepreneurial thing. And that's something that I've always wanted, honestly. I've always wanted to run my own business, be able to make my own schedule and make an impact the way I want to make an impact. And so this year, February, I'd left my full-time job, and I went to go pursue being an author full-time, which was very exciting. And prior to actually leaving my job, I had submitted a poem to a local publication here in Chattanooga. They're called Walnut Street Publishing. And it was just kind of like, okay, there's this publisher here. I'm going to submit something and see how it goes. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So I submitted, they loved my work and had said, hey, do you want to talk about coming on as a full author, not just, having a guest poem in our publication. So it just happened to kind of coincide with me leaving my job that I was also taken on as a full-time author at this publishing company. So the timing just really worked out. The universe works in mysterious ways. At least that's what I believe. And that's kind of how I got started in my entrepreneurial journey. And there are some exciting developments coming in 2025 as well. So Mud Water Will Rise is actually the first book of a series of 4. My second one, which is Salt Air to Mud Water, is coming out spring of next year. That one talks a little bit more about my personal journey as a Californian moving to Tennessee and kind of navigating the muddy waters of life, love, and the emotion that comes with trying to find and identify what you consider to be home. And then since this is coming out in February, I guess I can officially announce this. But I'm actually starting my own publishing company alongside another colleague of mine. So we will be not only publishing our own work, but we have several authors that we're already in conversations with, and we're ready to get rolling. So very excited about this next piece of the journey to come.
Fantastic. So let's talk about the Appalachian lifestyle and how that inspired your writing and creative projects, especially The Mudwaters Will Rise. You personally, so it really, you've got this whole series. So I love the fact that it's not just a single inspiration, but it just keeps on getting fed to be able to inform more books and more sharing of your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. So when we had come out here, and actually to back up a little bit, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the San Francisco Bay Area, but the part that I'm from actually has quite a bit of nature. So I've always grown up with the mountains, the ocean, maybe 45 minutes away. And that's always just been a part of my lifestyle is, on the weekends, we go up as a family and we take a hike. So coming to Chattanooga, it's literally called Scenic City. And so when we got here, we see why. There's the Appalachian Mountains all around us. And just, again, getting into nature. And it's a bit different than the California nature that I'm used to, but just seeing the vastness of the greenery here and kind of just digging your toes literally into the ground and grounding yourself with nature is so healing. So that's a part of my book that really, that's something that I wanted to highlight is just the spirituality and the healing that comes with being in nature. And then there's more that goes on in my book. That's just one part of my book. And And again, it talks a little bit about the beauty of the Southern culture, but then also all the complexities that come with the Southern culture as well. As you know, there's a deep history here, and that's something I wanted to highlight a little bit as well, and just bring different perspectives from the community and put that into the book and really make it more of a community-based book versus just the point of view from a transplant moving from California to
Exactly.
Tennessee.
Yeah. And so in the beginning, I mentioned that you dug your feet right into the community. And I love whenever you see a problem or a opportunity and you just go in both feet in, right? So keep chat clean. What is the importance of that initiative, and how does it reflect on the commitment to Chattanooga?
Yeah. So again, just kind of taking a step back. Again, I grew up in an area where there was a lot of nature. So keeping the natural environment clean is something that, again, I was just always raised with. But when I got together with my husband, he's very passionate about picking up trash, making sure that, you're doing your part as a citizen, even if it's your trash. Like, we'll just be walking along, and if he sees something, he'll put it in a trash can because that's just the type of person he is. And when we got to Chattanooga, we just actually had been invited to a couple trash cleanups on Raccoon Mountain, which if anybody has been there, it has gorgeous scenic views of all of Chattanooga and the Tennessee River. But oftentimes people will go park their cars there. They may throw their drinks out the window, or just any type of trash. So we had actually volunteered for a couple trash cleanups on Raccoon Mountain. And after that, I started thinking, we should host something like this. We should be making a bigger impact where we can. So we started with quarterly cleanups, and we just kind of picked different parks that we had noticed had a bit of trash from families maybe picnicking, or, just people maybe missed the trash can or whatever it might be. So we had started doing that, and it just kind of picked up steam, honestly. The local radio station wanted to highlight us, and that kind of led us actually to working with the Parks Department here in Chattanooga. So they had officially reached out saying, hey, do you want to adopt a park? And this can be a monthly initiative that you do, and you focus on this one area. And so there's a area called Cardboard Hill here, which is in Renaissance Park. And all the kids grab a piece of cardboard, they go sliding down. It's a lot of fun, but it does sometimes leave a bit of debris. So we started initially doing our cleanups there, and then had discovered there actually is a waterway that often gets clogged with different junk from storms that the waters push out. And for example, there's like a Barbie Jeep, not a little Barbie Jeep. It's a Barbie Jeep meant for a child to sit in that is stuck in blocking the waterways there. And there's just all kinds of things you would never think of. So we've been focusing specifically on that area for the last 3 or 4 months. And we've hauled out maybe 400 pounds of trash.
Wow.
It's just insane, the things that come down through the waterways and the storms. So that's something that we've become very passionate about, even more so than when we started, because we're seeing this impact that we're making, taking out hundreds of pieces of trash. And the community, once they see the impact and they've been involved, they get so emotionally invested. And it's great to see that people, they want to keep these areas clean, and they want to be able to enjoy it. We want to make sure that people they can interact with nature without leaving that footprint, so to speak. So that's kind of what led us to Keep Chat Clean. And again, it's a monthly initiative. So if there are any listeners out there, please feel free to contact me at any point. And I'd be happy to add you to our newsletter list, which is where I send out all of our information about when the upcoming cleans are.
Awesome. So Let's kind of take a switch back to your poetry.
Mhm.
What are some of the themes and messages that you explore in your poetry, and how do they resonate again with Southern audiences in the region? And you know, it as you said, you're a transplant, but you have this different view, and just like any part of the US or anywhere you go, different regions have different cultures and different diverse audiences and things. So how do you make sure that those messages and themes will resonate with this diversity?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are a few different topics that I explore. One is the natural beauty surrounding us, which we've kind of already dug into, and that's how that inspired Keep Chat Clean to begin with. The second was kind of digging into the local history, the local lore here. There are several, as I'm sure you know, in the South, there are several haunted places,
Oh yeah.
especially here in Chattanooga. We have a lot of them. So I kind of did my research and dug into the local history, local lore. So that's one section of my poetry. And I actually was asked to speak recently at a hotel called the Reed House, which is famous here in Chattanooga. It is supposedly haunted by many ghosts, but the most famous being Annalisa. And she was, there are a few different uh, versions of this tale, but supposedly she was unfortunately murdered in one of the suites there. People can actually stay in the suite during the months of October, or excuse me, during the different Fridays of October. So
Mm-hmm.
once they actually found out that I had written a poem about Annalisa, I was asked to come speak in the room and actually have a filming in there, which was really just such an honor. And that makes me feel like I am resonating with the local community here in Chattanooga. But moving on even deeper, obviously there's a lot of political tension across the United States, but especially in the southern region. I feel that there's this tug of war between traditional values and progressiveness. And so something I really wanted to highlight was one, the issues that at hand, a lot of them surround firearm safety, common sense gun laws, women's rights and health, and safety of health. But that being said, regardless of one's opinion one way or another, what I did at the end of the chapter was actually provide a vast amount of resources that are nonpartisan. So making way for progress while ensuring we're not stepping on the rights of others, ensuring that those traditional values are still there, and are kept close to our hearts, but again, just moving forward to make a safer and better community for all. The last chapter of my book actually has a variety of poems that I had written that were inspired by stories from others in our community and their experiences as Southerners, whether they're grown and raised here, or they're transplants such as myself from other parts of the country. And I really wanted their stories to resonate and to be heard in this book. So that's a variety of ways that I tried to incorporate difficult discussions and topics, but
Right.
provide solutions that actually move us forward together as a community in unity and ensure that the stories of the local community are heard by others.
Awesome. So how do you manage the demands and keep that slow pace, if you will, of running a business, writing,
Mhm.
and maintaining a fulfilling family life in Chattanooga? You have no children yet?
Oh, I have a 1.5-year-old, so
Oh, okay.
very
There you
difficult.
throw that into the mix, and it just
Yes, yes. I
yes.
have a 1.5-year-old daughter. Her name is Delaney. And it
Oh,
is difficult, honestly. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. One of my favorite mentors actually described life and business as a swinging pendulum.
that's right.
You have your family life and everything over here, and you have business over here, and it's a constant movement between the two of what needs your attention. And I find that to be very true. However, I am very grateful for the opportunity to be able to work from home, to be able to give my daughter the attention she needs. I try to have her independent play while I'm sitting down at the computer, because she is at that age where electronics are just fascinating to her.
Yeah.
So I will have her do independent play in her room. I'll also make sure to have my husband, thankfully, he has a flexible schedule as well. So he'll watch her in the mornings while I write for an hour just for myself to kind of get the morning going, to decompress, again, take it slow as I can. And then I kind of jump into the swing of the pendulum and trying to focus on my daughter over here while my husband's at work, and then focus on business and having her do independent play. So it's definitely hard, no matter what, doesn't matter exactly where you are in the United States. But I do feel that there's a vast difference between the California tech scene and how busy and on call you have to be on all the time versus, okay, I'm going to take an hour to focus on my daughter and then I'm going to get back to work. I have
Yeah.
that option. Whereas before, the lifestyle I had before, I wouldn't have that option.
Yeah. And I always just think it's important that remember that it's you're not trying to be perfect in anything that you do. You're just trying to do your best. And one of the reasons I teach leadership and communication is that you really have to communicate to your daughter how much you love her and that, this is mommy's time, but when I'm with you, I'm with you. My phone is not there. I am with you. And I think
Exactly.
the kids will get that and appreciate that. Usually, sometimes it takes till they're in their 30s and yeah, geez, you really did so much. And those are the times that are make me most proud is whenever my kids actually, even when I see my oldest daughter who has two kids, a 5 and a 9-year-old boys, and how good she is as a parent. And I think, okay, she did watch, she did hear,
Mhm.
so,
Yeah, definitely.
but you do still have to remind them to just don't get so stressed.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, definitely. And I feel that's something I'm trying to lead by example, because I do have anxiety. And that's something I've worked through talk therapy. And again, just making those necessary lifestyle changes to ensure that I'm not getting stressed out, because that's not
yeah.
something I want her to think is normal, right? I want her to be able to pursue the lifestyle that she desires, whatever that might be, and know that everything's going to be okay in the end.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give others looking to pursue the creative passions and start their own business? Because, it is exciting, it is scary, it is all those emotions. But so what would you suggest to them?
That's a great question. It's definitely exciting. It's scary, and I'm not going to lie, it's hard.
Hmm.
Especially financially, it is really tough in the beginning. So a couple of things. One, just be ready financially. Whether that's a savings account, whether that's pursuing something on the side while you still have a full-time job until you're ready to make that leap. Don't unnecessarily stress yourself out financially. But the second would be, and I think this is the most important thing, is to really dig yourself into the community, whatever that might be. And it's not necessarily the community surrounding you, but whatever industry you're trying to get into, really dig into the community in that industry, whether it's online, going to local events, really get to know the people in that industry, get to know what the actual process looks like, because going into publishing, I'm still learning a lot about what that process looks like and what
Mm.
the realistic workload is going to be on that. So really dig yourself in and just make sure it's actually something that you want to do. Thankfully, even learning things on the go, I'm still very interested in pursuing publishing and publishing
Mm.
my own works. But you may say, ooh, I romanticize this a little bit. Maybe I don't want to do that, or I want to pivot to something else, right? So just dig yourself into the community, get to know people, ask a lot of questions,
Yeah.
get to know people and make those connections. And then when you do make that leap, it's going to be so much easier because you already have those resources available to you.
Mm.
And you'll be ready to hit the ground running.
Fantastic. Well, time has flown by. Such a great conversation we had. So happy that we got to join each other today. If you that are watching or listening want to know how to connect with Chelsea, want to know more about her books, read her poetry, check her out on social media, you're going to be able to do that. As always, I'll have a slide shared. If you're just listening, you can get all this information on the YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. So please do subscribe, or go to my findyourleadershipconfidence.com website. In the show notes, you'll find everything. So the website is chelseachats.com. That's ChelseaChatts.com. Facebook is her name, Shop Chelsea Chats. Pinterest is The Chelsea Chats. Instagram is Chelsea.chats. And Threads is @Chelsea Chats. So if you search Chelsea Chats, you will find her. I'm going to turn it over to the one, the only Chelsea Chats to talk to you about her call to action, explain what you can find when you go to her website, resources and any tools, tips and whatnot. And then also how you might connect with her on social media. So Chelsea, it's all yours.
Thank you. Yep. So if you go to chelseachats.com, again, that's 2 T's and chats.com. You'll go to my website. You can find information about Keep Chatt Clean and all of our volunteer opportunities. You can subscribe to our newsletter. Again, that goes out about 1 to 2 times a month. So you'll not only get information about Keep Chatt Clean, but you'll also get information about my books, upcoming upcoming events and more on there. I also have a little retail store. It's very Southern based and Southern themed. So you'll be able to find lots of little goodies in my retail store as well on chelseachats.com. As for social media, I am most active on Instagram. So you can find me there at chelsea.chats.com. And again, that's chats with 2 T's.
Awesome, Chelsea. So happy to have you on today. We'll have to try to get together sometime and have lunch to chat in Chattanooga.
Yeah, definitely. If you're in the area, please let me know, or vice versa. If I'm ever over in the Atlanta area, that's something I'm trying to make a point of now, is to really go out of the area at least once a month to all these different great cities that are around us, because as you mentioned, time flies. So
that's right.
All of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, it's been 6 months and I haven't left Chattanooga. I need to go explore their
definitely
area.
You can come and spend some time here in Roswell, and we can take you to see. We have in the downtown Atlanta, there is a great history museum, and it's just wonderful day trip to do that.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
As always, I remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling, signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.